Hey everybody, Tim Timmons here with another 10,000 minute experiment. To my great left, oh crap. That's my right. I've been dogging my kids about not knowing their left and right. I'm teaching my daughter how to drive. Yeah, she's 14.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go left. And she goes right. I'm like, honey, we got to figure this out. Okay. Okay. To my right, Moy, Donise.
Hello.
Or Denise.
To my far left, Christopher Cleveland.
What's up?
Can anybody call you Christopher?
My mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my wife.
Yeah. When she's pissed.
When she's really nice. Yeah.
Oh wow,
like
is that like call to the
like
bedroom?
Yeah, that's a call.
No. I
If
don't
she
think
rolls her
she's
R's
ever
once
used
she says
that.
it. Christopher.
But it is kind of like a term of endearment. I dated this girl from Arkansas once. She could make Chris like 19 syllables. Oh wow. And I was like,
Chris?
yeah, it was so good. Anyways, that has nothing to. Let's move on.
Back to your wife.
We got some wounds there. We'll do that later.
Yeah, we'll deal
we'll
with
unpack
that.
that later.
And then over here we've got Carlos Whittaker.
That's me. It's to your direct left. not the
It's
far
direct. And we've had a lot of debate over this. Like I said, hard left.
Hard left, sharp left.
Yeah, Bart gave us grief because I said to my hard left. He said, "This isn't your hard left."
This is definitely not a hard left.
So
This is more of a soft left.
It's an
thank
easy
you,
left.
thank you. You know what? We kicked him off. We stopped
Okay.
the podcast at that point.
No,
And
he's
I don't
out.
care
Dissed
what
me.
songs he's written
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine that.
Gosh, that bit is always funny.
It always is.
How do I catch up?
There were millions of moans all throughout minivans across the United States right now.
Yes, especially them listening. Okay, so the whole purpose of this podcast
Yeah.
is that we are awesome at believing things in our minds and saying, yes, I believe this to be true, that, let's say, praying for my enemy is the right thing to do. But then when somebody cuts you off on the road or when somebody attacks you verbally online, it's like, hell no. And we just come right back. And we don't actually practice the principles in the heart of Jesus. We believe them in our minds, but we're not found living as though they're true. So 10,000 minutes, the idea is there are 10,080 minutes in a week. 80 of those minutes are in a gathering if you do that as the church. But then we scatter as the church for 10,000 minutes.
Yep.
So the idea is, what would it look like for us to practice the principles of Jesus during the 10,000 minutes? So this past week, we were practicing praying for our enemies. Like, what does that look like? Blessing our enemies. And you guys want to jump in on
How'd that go?
the idea of, that's what we're about to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
So the idea of blessing our enemies is we talked to Mike Erie this past week.
Yep. Oh, Mike.
So
good.
good. Golly.
Still
It was
processing.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to bless was actually to
You were calling out what they already are.
Yeah. So blessing them was doing that.
who they are and who they're
As well.
becoming.
Yeah.
That God's
At the
in
same
process,
time.
even with those people.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
doesn't have to be me to actually take them down and beat them up.
Yep.
In a sense.
Yep.
Yep.
You know, Mike was actually talking about how blessing your enemy every time that there was a rebuke from Jesus, it was pretty strong. It wasn't a soft, like, oh, you're sweet. You know,
Right.
There was a strength to it.
Yeah.
Which is partly why I love having you here today, Carlos. Because you're a jerk.
We
Let's
just
get it
want to
out there.
bless you.
That's
okay?
it. I am. That is what everybody calls me, is a jerk.
So that's really, again, why we wanted to bring you here. Because
Okay.
it's more of a confrontation for you.
Okay. Okay.
Your wife and kids are right outside.
Okay.
And so we're all
Oh,
going
man.
to be,
man.
come on,
Yeah,
come out, kids.
The unfortunate
Mike's
thing
all
is
around.
they did this to me last night. So the fact that they're going to do it twice in like 12 hours is really
They
weird.
beat us to it.
Dang it.
Didn't feel like it stuck last
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Carlos Whittaker is a great man, and I don't say that lightly. Carlos intimately knows sorrow, true brokenness, joy, and through it all is one of the real hope dealers of our time. Some of the content in this episode, and really all of our episodes, might feel uncomfortable just to sit in. But can I just invite you into a place of wonder? What might Jesus be inviting you and me into through this? This conversation just keeps getting better at every turn, so here we go. We've been friends for many years now.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan of you for so many years. But
Yep.
even in this past season, this past year and a half,
Yep.
I just appreciate you and your space in this world
Yeah.
so much more. And really quick, what would you call yourself in this past season? I know you'd have some
Yeah.
creative...
You know, for the longest time, people that followed my whatever would be like, oh, that guy's, for a long time, he was a worship artist.
Right.
Right. Then he was a Christian author.
Yeah.
Then a Christian speaker. And then I feel like all that went away this year. Like I feel like my job imploded. Not in a bad way. I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
And I would say that it was last year around March when the Ahmaud Arbery situation happened that I made a video. Now listen, I had 34,000 Instagram followers when I made this video.
Okay.
And it was called How My White Friends Should Support the Black Community Right Now, is what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll make this little like a YouTube video. I put some nice bed of music behind me and I sat down, I was like, this will be nice. And then I woke up the next morning with 27,000 Instagram followers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, crap. I actually just destroyed my career in one Instagram video. Like tomorrow there'll be 20,000, the next and it'll just be my wife and kids.
Yeah.
What have I done?
It's like Bitcoin. It's
Yeah.
like up and down.
It's like, wow. Then the Lord was just like, because I almost deleted it. So I almost pulled the video down. I was like, no. My followers are white, evangelical, conservative Americans.
Right.
And I just pissed them all off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just remember almost holding my finger over delete. And just the Lord was like, no. Welcome to your new space. Welcome to what I'm calling you to. And so I didn't. Not only did I not hit delete, I started making videos every week on the Black experience in America. And obviously always through the lens of my faith, but not necessarily Christian videos. I wasn't like looking in the Bible for this or looking in the, for a scripture that I just was telling my story. And the more I talked about it, the more new people started to show up. And the more some of the people that left started to come back.
Right.
Actually, yesterday I had a meeting with my manager where we kind of tried to come up with like a mission statement of who I am now because everything that we've been filtering everything through is no longer.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like I want to be a safe and trustworthy guide for all humans to look through a different lens at the rest of humanity, maybe in a perspective they haven't looked at it before.
Yep.
Love that.
And so that's kind of what I feel like I am, what I've been doing, having really hard conversations with my tribe that's followed me for a long time, and I never talked about this. And so to give them grace in knowing that this was a shock.
Yeah.
This is a shock for them. Like, wait a second. The family guy that vlogs his trips with his kids and talks about the birds is now talking about racism and actually confronting me on maybe my accidental racism.
Wow.
So it's been a turn, but I have never felt more called to something. I've never felt more like I'm just in that sweet spot that I'm supposed to be in, way more than when I was singing or when I was preaching or this is it right now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I couldn't agree more. Just as your friend watching. I mean, you're great at all those other things, but this is revolutionary stuff. This is revolution stuff. It's not just
I believe
industry
that.
stuff.
Yep.
Okay, what would you call yourself again? You said ambassador?
A guide.
That's what I said, a guide?
Yeah. A guide. A
Synonym.
trustworthy
guide.
Guide that provides a safe space for hard conversations.
Man.
You know?
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so with that, which you have been, I mean, I would say for all of us, even just in this circle right here.
Yeah.
You've been that this past season. That has been so helpful for me to see certain things that I did not see before.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for that. And I've told you that and texted you that. But here's the question. So
I say I screen captured it. It's now my screensaver.
That's what
just you telling me how
that's
awesome
what makes
I
me
am.
feel so good. So the question is, what happened this past year? Like, what at the base level? How did we become so divided and really enemies?
Yeah. So
As you just look at the whole scope.
we actually are no more divided than we were a year ago.
Yeah.
Love that.
We actually just now see it.
Yeah.
So what has happened is there was a lid placed over America, and all the nastiness, the cesspool of everything we're seeing right now was just covered. And all this last year has done is open it up. And so people are like, we're so divided now. We're more racist than we were. No, like we're just seeing it now. Thank God we're finally seeing it, and we're seeing it. And so now people are having to talk about it. So with the advent of the ways that we communicate, social media, all these things that's like 24/7, the acceleration of content and the acceleration of opinions, that's gotten faster. Like we weren't created to have the capacity to consume as much as we're consuming. So there's like everything's hitting at one time.
Right.
We're seeing the underbelly of America while we're trying to learn how to really not be human anymore because we're robots now. We're just consuming more and more and more. So we can't handle that. But we're also trying to handle the hardest season we've ever been in. And so these two things are coming together and there's implosions. And I think that's where we're at. But again, I'm a hope guy. But the hope that I see is through it all, I'm seeing people in slow shifts. Just the first thing is just to get them to see. I'm not trying to get them to change their mind. I'm not trying to get them to vote different. I just want them to see. And I'm starting to see more and more people just see me and just see the problem. And that's it. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do is just get them to see. And so that's where I'm getting my hope. People that maybe never would have seen before are seeing. And man, that's my drug. Like that's my drug of choice is like, when I see them see, I'm like, okay, I can go another day.
Yeah. I never feel like you're trying to change people. I feel like you're just trying to bring it, whatever it is, more to the light.
Yeah.
Which I love. Okay, so we're talking about enemies. I think you seem to have made. Do you need something?
Oh, dude, throw my gum away
Oh,
before I start
love
smacking it.
Just from the top.
There it is. All right, cool.
Total from the top.
Just again.
Trust me, I knew it's been in my mouth and I haven't chewed. It's been stuck to the roof of my mouth.
Yeah,
so if
that's
I
what I
sound
do.
like I have a retainer in my mouth, it's not a retainer. It's a freaking piece of dentine.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it.
Dentine. Do they make
We all have
dentine anymore? Or
retainers.
is that
I
like
think
an
they
80s
might.
thing? Okay.
Double belly or rush.
Is that actual gum or is it the stuff
Dentine,
that
yeah.
like keeps your
Dentine.
teeth?
No. Dentine was a brand of gum maybe
Yep.
in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this past year, I would say that you probably developed a lot of enemies in this past season. You were the enemy, or you made a lot of enemies. How did that look? What's that look like?
Yeah. It's actually pretty miraculous for someone like me. For my entire life, was a people pleaser. Like if I even fathomed that one person like was annoyed at me, like I'd be sucking my thumb in a fetal position for.
Relatable.
Yeah, and man, it literally is miraculous. I just know that the Lord has brought strength up inside of me. And the strength isn't like, I'm strong because I know people can hate me and screw you.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. What I've realized is that most, if not all, people that hate me or really dislike me or would consider themselves my enemy are just wounded and walking through their story in a certain way. And so like, I look at everyone that comes at me. For instance, we'll just talk about today's enemies.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's just go today. Yesterday, I put up a how to celebrate Cinco de Mayo respectfully video.
Right. Yeah. Because you're half Mexican.
I'm half Mexican.
Yeah.
My dad's black Panamanian, Afro-Latino. My mom's
Yeah.
Mexican. So I speak to that. Well, I woke up this morning and the comments. And most of the time comments, if people are like ignorant, I'm fine with. But they were like blatant racist comments. Almost as if like white people that were responding to this feel more able to be racist against Mexicans than they do black people for some reason.
Wow.
And I mean, there's a whole other conversation
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But because honestly, Mexican people may be even more oppressed than black people are in this country. But there's a culture that comes from Mexicans that is so kind and so warm and hospitable that white people mistake that for them being willing to accept the racism. And so on my post, I'm just seeing like blatant racists. And I normally, just to let you know, if I had the capacity, would DM every single racist person that ends up. This is what I do.
Yeah. What would you say?
This is what I do. I actually don't just DM them. I send them a video. It freaks
So they
them
can
out.
see your face.
They have no idea. Because you can't hate somebody eye to eye. Nobody can. No, I don't care who you are. And so I send them a video and I'm like, hey, look, I just need you to look me in the eye. This is Carlos, obviously, and I just want to tell you that like I get it and I see you. And I just need you to see me. And we see things differently, but I'm not trying to get you to see that differently. I just want you to see me.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, it ends up being these racists end up being some of my closest friends on Instagram, right? And so,
my gosh.
so that's something that I do. But I didn't do that today because there's some days where I don't have it in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like people see me a lot and they're like, Carlos, like you're just so grace filled. And I'm like, well, not all the time. You know what I do? I let the racists and listen. I'm being very specific when I say racist. Not everybody that has questions about race or disagrees with me is a racist. I need to make sure that that's clear. I'm talking about blatant people that are coming in to like throw bombs and then leave.
Yeah.
Most of them don't even follow me. Like this, someone shared my video
Right.
and they see it and they
Saw
pop
it,
in,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
But then what I do is I let that. Some people would be like, well, just block them and like delete the comment. No. What I do is I let the comment sit for 24 hours, and I let people like it. And I wait for 175 people that follow me that may not know that I know that they're liking these comments. And on days like today, I block them too. So
wow.
I not only block the blatant racists, but I block the secret racists. Because sometimes I've just got to clean house and let people know I'm okay with you coming in here and having crucial conversations.
Yeah.
But what I'm not okay with is somebody that is around me for a long time, and I've poured everything I can. And if you're just going to be blatantly ignorant and racist back, like I just don't have time. And my mental health deserves the block button. And so I use it a lot more these days than I did last year, because it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And then what's even more exhausting is to see friends like comments. Again, people don't think you can see when who they are when they like it. And then so I'm like, well, maybe they accidentally liked it. And then I'll wait for another one, and then I'll see them like it. And then guess what? Yeah. Sorry, that's got to be over.
Yeah.
So, like it's a constant dance with the enemy. I realize that they're actually not the enemy. The enemy is their enemy, which is causing them to want to be my enemy. And so, I know.
What's that mean?
Well, the enemy is seeking to steal, kill, and destroy.
Got it.
Right.
And so he is seeking to steal, kill, and destroy their hearts. And so their hearts and the anger and the rage that's coming out of them isn't actually coming out of them. It's coming from the enemy, the true enemy. And so that's why, I do look at people, they're coming from trauma, they're coming from wounding. It's my goal to help everybody find freedom. And that's why I have such a huge amount of grace for most people, is because, man, I need it. And I know that they're just in pain. Most of these people are in pain. That's why 9 out of 10 people that I send a video to will apologize right away and say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. I am confused about this. And bam, guess what? Now we have a conversation.
Right.
So if you can look past and realize that they're actually not the enemy, there's probably a small amount of people that really are my enemy.
Yeah.
Most of these people are actually friends that don't even know they're my friends yet. I look at them and I'm like, oh, you don't even know that we're about to be close.
So when you're sober enough, obviously not with the alcohols, but
Yeah.
I'm saying just in your awareness of what really is going on, the bigger picture,
Yes.
that's kind of where you go. When you're not sober, when you kind of get drunk on...
Then the rage comes up,
Yeah.
and then the net gets red, and then then you spout back
Immediate.
and it's like, wait a second. I did an entire episode on crucial conversations 3 episodes ago on my podcast, helping people realize that most of the conversations that we get so irritated and fired up about, they just don't feel safe. And so you've got to build a safe runway in order for a conversation to really happen. And so you create that safety. You really ask yourself the question, what do I want for me? What do I want for them? What do I want for the relationship? When you start with those questions, suddenly the conversation, I'm like, you know what? I actually want goodness for this person. I actually want this person to see things clearly. How in the world are they ever going to see things clearly if I just cut them off?
Right.
And so people are always asking me oh, I want to leave my church because my pastor, he's a Trumper or whatever, he's decided to do this or that. So I'm going to leave. And I was like, well, you can leave, but if you leave, who's going to be there to change it?
Yeah.
If everyone just leaves, so and that's what I feel called to do is not to leave, but there are days like today where I will ask them to leave with the block button. So,
So what or who is an enemy to you?
I mean, people may be confused by this, but I really don't think I have any enemies. I really feel like the enemy is Satan, is the enemy. Like that. That's who I see my enemy as. So even it could be I was at Black Lives Matter march in June, and we came up across white supremacists, and they were like salivating angry. I'm talking about screaming, spit flying out and drool coming out.
Yeah.
And all I just could think is what happened?
Yeah.
When did it happen? Because this wasn't there all the time. And that's something that God just given me, that I see everybody like that. And so it's hard for me to find a true enemy.
What about those who persecute you?
Okay, yeah.
And I love what you just said.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it one level deeper. So then it's bless those who persecute you. Bless.
Yeah, yeah.
How does that work? How has that worked?
Yeah.
When has it not worked? And when I say worked, I also mean it may not change anybody else.
Yeah.
But it'll change your heart.
Absolutely. So those that persecute me, again, we can talk about the shallowness of social media. I don't even feel persecuted by people that are trying to persecute me. I'm like, whatever. I'm not losing my sleep over that. But now let's talk about friends. Let's talk about relationships. Let's talk about the fact that my closest and longest lasting friend of my life, we went to college together, we were roommates together, all those things. I realized a couple weeks ago, well, he doesn't follow me on Instagram anymore. That's weird. Huh. And then I was like, hey, we haven't talked in a couple months. You want to come over? And then he came over, and boom, in a matter of 10 minutes, I realized that he does not agree with one thing that I say. Not only that, but he begins to persecute me. He begins to point his finger. He begins to you make everything divisive. It's your fault that racism, and I'm like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and so now what do I do? And so the goal at that point, again, for people that persecute me, just to get them to see me. Once he felt safe enough to know that I'm not going to try to change his mind on anything. You can listen to all the pundits on talk radio you want. You can repeat their lines back to me.
Yeah.
Do you trust me in my story? That's what I said. I'm not going to bring you data. I'm not going to bring you. Said, do you trust me in my story? And I got a yes. Yes, he does. Okay. So can I tell you about me and my story? And so I began to tell him things that he'd never known before. Here's another thing. People get confused with me because my dad's black, my mom's Mexican, but my dad's a black Panamanian, so he's a black man that speaks Spanish. So again, this is just ignorant. And ignorant, not even in a demeaning way, but ignorance that runs a bliss in America. Oh, wait, black people can speak Spanish and be just as African Americans? It's like, yeah, like the slave boats didn't just drop slaves off on a one-way ticket to America. They dropped them off all over the planet. So there's black people that speak Italian.
Right.
So like, I'm actually teaching him this.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I didn't even think you were black. And the more I'm just allowing him to see me, the more I'm seeing his heart soften. And and by the end of this conversation, the one that persecuted me is in tears, telling me that he wants to see me. By the next week, he's read White Fragility. He's read like two other books. Then he FaceTimes me with the black plumber in his house. He's like, yo, Carlos, I'm telling Dwayne about you and like the conversation we had. And I'm just telling, and here I'm like, this is it. I didn't try to change his mind.
Yeah.
I just
Not
tried to
your
get
job.
him to see
him to
me.
see you.
And when he saw me, that's all he needed. And so for people that persecute me, how it works is I'm okay with them persecuting me because one thing I know I can get them to do is to see me. And once they see me, watch, the persecution just stops.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even helpful for people, but just knowing that those that persecute you, no matter what it is, know that they've got trauma and wounding and a story of their own. And if you can look at them through that lens, you can have empathy for them.
Yeah.
And you can say, okay, this rage is coming from somewhere. This persecution is coming from somewhere. What if I started to ask them questions about them? What if I began to ask them about their story? And the second you start asking them about their story, it's shocking to those that are persecuting you. And then it opens them up to, well, maybe this is a safer place. And then I'm just telling you, the anger level goes down and the persecution goes away. I just believe that at the core of every human, there's a desire for us to connect and to be for more togetherness. Unity is I think a really, I don't know if it's a word that can be achieved, but togetherness, I think it's more something that can be achieved. You can be together with somebody that doesn't vote like you. You can be together with somebody that doesn't think like you. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is the togetherness piece.
Yeah, and there's a difference between uniformity and unity, which is, I think, the same as togetherness.
Yeah.
This makes me think of some of the stuff that Mike was talking about. And I wonder if the enemy isn't people, but the inability to see people for who they are. Both them and us, and us and them. And so what I hear you doing is digging deeper to see who they are and offering a space for them to see you for who you are.
Absolutely.
And in the midst of that, there are no enemies.
Right.
There's just broken people in process.
Yeah.
And the way that we bless in the midst of that is to see and then call out who people are.
That's good.
Just these two conversations for me have really reshaped what blessing is completely.
Yeah.
We're trying to redefine words that
Yeah,
have always
that's good.
been said. So we're redefining like #blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm blessed because I got a job, but
Right.
blessed because I got this. It's like that's actually never used in the Bible.
Right.
So what really is it to bless people? So it is to call out their identity. But what you're doing there, which I love, is it's almost like the other side of that. It's like it's like revealing your identity.
See me,
Yeah.
It's like both sides are being seen with who they actually are.
Yep.
And when that happens, it works. And there are going to be many times when, whether it's the race stuff or whatever that looks like to all of us to have different enemies or different hard conversations. That's a great practice of that being the end goal.
I mean, it's powerful. I feel like I grew up thinking to bless your enemy meant like you were the cost. Like you were just going to take what it
Doormat.
was because you're going to, they're the ones that need to be blessed. And to hear you kind of be like, I know my worth and the way God sees me, so I need you to see it as well. It would transform you too. It's like, oh, it's just like Mike Geary said, that circle of everyone being blessed at once by generosity, by giving space like that. I'm like, man, okay.
Yeah.
It's also what he talked about, how Jesus talked about. It was like when you offer the other cheek, it's like saying, no, you're going to see me for me. You're going to see me
my gosh,
as,
it's so
as
true.
an equal. So for someone to slap you with their backhand was demeaning, but to slap you with, an open hand was like, oh no, we're peers now.
Yeah.
So like, no, we're going to open hand slap each other a little bit. And we're going to see each other for who we are.
That is a full circle of
Yeah.
slap,
Yeah.
slap, slap. I was like,
Yeah, right?
and that was the beginning of our relationship, Carlos. I remember you hit me so hard.
So hard.
You were like,
You didn't feel it
"He's the
though
one."
because
No,
the beard.
yeah.
You didn't
It's a
feel
little
it.
cushioning.
A little cushion there.
No, I had a little. We had both had little beards back then.
We did. Little beards.
Okay, so how do we bless and pray for those enemies or the people that are persecuting us when they don't want to be seen or to see you? And how has that gone?
Yeah. Well, slowly. It's a slow blessings, right? If they're not going to receive it, you throw some things up against the wall and barely anything sticks. It's the same thing. Like you just keep blessing, and if they're not going to accept it, you still have to keep going. Like you still have to keep. There's probably like 20 or so people that I know I probably should block, but they've been enemies for so long that I almost feel like this
I'm
is
gonna
it.
get you.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, I'm going to keep blessing you. I'm going to
Yeah.
keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. And that's the thing. Like when it comes to, again, me helping somebody change, what I feel like most people want to do, we'll speak specifically to enemies or somebody that vehemently disagrees with you, is we want them in a conversation to make a 45-degree turn, as you would call a hard left.
Yeah, hard left. Gosh, so
Okay.
Touche.
so true.
Yeah. But here's the thing. That's not going to happen. And so what I'm doing every day with these, say, 20 people that are my quote unquote enemies is, and I'm seeing it happen. My goal every day is just a 1 degree, even a half degree, even if they don't even know they've changed. Just by seeing me, I know they have changed. So if they really see me, they get half a degree. So if all I ever accomplish over 5 years of them DMing me mean things is they've moved 1 degree, you know what happens with that 1 degree? If you're a boat and you move 1 degree, well, in 10 miles, you're only going to be a foot in a different direction than you were. But guess what? In 100 miles, now you're going to be, 100 feet. And then in 10,000 miles, or however many minutes are we doing here?
Yeah, 10,000 minutes. Yeah,
10,000 minutes. Guess what? That 1 degree is actually going to have them miles apart from where their original direction was. So as I'm blessing them every day, I'm just hoping for 1 degree, because what's going to happen is I know it may take 10 years.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, because of the 1 degree that I shifted them, and they don't even know that they shifted, I promise you they're going to be a completely different place than they ever would have been in the beginning.
That's right.
And so that's just kind of what I'm trying to do every day. It's just 1 degree, not 45, just 1.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have a selfish follow-up question.
Go.
How can white...
How can you help me?
No. How can like a white CCM artist like Tim and I
Yeah.
are, and how can we be supportive in this industry that's kind of pressing against it?
Oh, yeah.
And not kind of, like it really is. If I post anything on my socials, I've lost, thousands of followers this year and the same kind of thing. I have not had the grace that you've had, which seems really stupid just being like a white guy. You know,
it's okay.
I'm just wondering, like from you, how can we support this whole thing better?
Yeah, I honestly think just by saying something, the amount of silence is gutting. And knowing that the reason why a lot of my even evangelical mega church pastor friends aren't saying anything is tithe. Like that's it. Like that is why. Or record sales. Or like you're in a season right now where your grandkids will have the opportunity to look back at your digital footprint and see whether or not grandma or grandpa
What you cared about.
stood up. I look at pictures from the civil rights movement, and I see some of these white people that are marching with Martin Luther King, and I think, their grandkids must be so proud.
Yeah.
And then I think about the ones who see their grandparents on the other side, because the other side at that moment was normal.
Yeah.
Right? That was normal. So screaming at a black person in 1960 was normal. Nobody felt like I'm doing something bad, right? That was just normal. So what feels normal now? Well, silence feels normal. Well, guess what? In 40 years, when grandkids are looking back, are they going to see what's normal? Are they going to see silence? Or are you going to have to sacrifice and risk? What I promise you, a lot of those on those buses in the Montgomery marches, a lot of those white people sacrificed everything.
Yeah.
Probably their careers, probably a lot of things in order to do what was right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so my answer is not an easy one, but it does take risk in order to really be rescuers. And so I would say to my white brothers and sisters, like, you guys run it all. You run the country, you run everything. Black people can yell as loud as we want, but that's not going to change anything. You hold the power, especially as a white man in America. You do. Like, you hold the keys that are going to unlock a lot of things for people that they can't unlock. So whenever I see, especially a white man, speak out, I'm just like, this is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
More of that. So yeah, just more being risky, more losing followers, more, I know some friends that have done what you're asking that have lost. They've had to change jobs, but man, I'm just so grateful that they did that, you know? And it's risky. We're in a risky season. Things are changing. But we're going to look back, I'm telling you, and you're not going to have wanted to just been silent,
right?
So just be a voice.
You said you're a bridge, right? A bridge is something that actually can carry people over here on this one side and actually walk them all the way to the other side.
Yep.
It's a hard thing to do because you can either drop bombs on both sides.
Yep.
Both sides are bombs. You're just making people go further to their sides.
Yep.
That's just what I see all the time is when something is said, it just makes people go, well, you know what? Here's the reason for this. And they just get further on their side. So how do we walk together with people over something, having different thoughts? I mean, part of what you're doing is you're inviting people just to think.
Yeah.
Just to an awareness.
This may not work with your analogy, but I'm go with me for a second. I'm looking at a bridge. I'm thinking about a bridge, and a bridge is connecting two sides, right? Mm-hmm. And in order to be a bridge would never work if I was just like half a bridge sticking from my side over, and then there's a gap, and I'm like, hey, I need you to run as fast as you can and jump over the abyss and land on the halfway bridge and come over here. No, the bridge actually has to connect to all of their thoughts, feelings, emotions, voting, all of it. So like you actually have to like be connected. So what do I have to do in order to be a true bridge? I listen to podcasts that people that know me, their jaws would drop. I follow Twitter accounts that bash people that believe like me on a daily basis. I am reading, I am listening. Because I need to know the heartbeat behind what both sides. Okay, I've got a side. Yes, I'm a human. I've got an opinion. But in order to be a true bridge, you can't be ignorant to. There's truths, actual truths. Listen, there's not just one side. There's truths to what the other people are thinking.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I've got to find and dig. Great example. So Breonna Taylor, I'm super vocal. I want no-knock warrants abolished. I'm like, I'm screaming out because I'm seeing the history of no-knock warrants in the South, and I'm seeing where they came from, and I'm seeing the racist history of them, so I'm very loud. Now, this is a statement that I say all the time on my socials. I say all the time, don't stand on issues, but walk with people. Yeah. I say that constantly because where people get in trouble is they've got an opinion on an issue, but they don't know anybody who the issue affects. Mm-hmm. So people that are like, Black Lives Matter people are Marxist socialists. They want to destroy the nuclear family. It's all Blue Lives Matter. I'm like, well, are you friends with the black person that marches at Black Lives Matter? And have you asked them, are you walking with the people? So what did I have to do? If I'm saying this, I got to do it, right? So I'm like, okay, I got a friend, Matt Albee, who is a police officer in Los Angeles. I mean, he follows me on Instagram. He hasn't unfollowed me. He'll like things that I post. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to Marco Polo him. So Marco Polo. Do people know what Marco Polo is? Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. So I sent him a video message. I'm like, hey, so like, what's your thoughts on the no-knock warrants? And this is what he tells me. So I served 2 nights ago. And before I went, I kissed Lori, he's his wife, goodbye. It was at 3 a.m. I went and I kissed my 2 kids goodbye. Because where we were going, there was a real big likelihood that there were going to be shots fired. And this may be the last time I see him. And the truth is, if we were to have knocked, they would have blasted a hole straight through us. Mm-hmm. So I need you to know, when I do a no-knock warrant, it's actually because we know that the people, if we knock, are going to try to murder us. Yeah. The bad people. Yeah. So suddenly, this is what happened. Now I'm hearing one of my close friends, Matt, and I'm thinking, well, I don't want to go to his funeral. Yeah. Guess what? No-knock warrants no longer became an issue. It became a person.
Gosh, so good.
And for me, who is blatant in my Black Lives Matter-ness, I suddenly was like, guess what, guys? Maybe not all no-knock warrants. Maybe not all of them, because I need Matt alive. Yeah. And so suddenly, my conversation shifted. Yeah. What that did is that when I walked with Matt, things begin to shift and things begin to change. I went over and connected the bridge to him, thinking that that bridge was going to walk him over to me. Guess what it did? It actually, it walked me over to him. Yeah. And the more I think we do that, the more I think we're going to see just, we think that there's sides to issues, but I honestly believe that more times than not, people are really after the same thing. Yeah. And yes, I believe that there needs to be a massive restructuring of policing in America. But guess what? Like I need my buddy Matt to live. Yeah. And Matt's my friend. And I changed. When I connected a bridge over there, it actually changed me when I was trying to change him.
Ooh, did you hear that? No-knock warrants no longer became an issue, it became a person. Don't stand on issues, but walk with people. Who do you utterly disagree with right now? Who might Jesus want you to learn from and grow with? Let's stay curious. Yeah, I mean, even just as we talk about enemies, even praying for your enemies or blessing your enemies has a bigger change on me than it does on that person. And that's just seeing the person for who they actually are. Yeah. Pointing that out, or even seeing myself and them. Gosh, it's so good, Carlos. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're about to jump into a few questions.
Can I pee before questions?
Oh my gosh, son of a...
Lord have mercy. You give me 2 things of water.
Carlos, welcome to 10,000 Thoughts. Today it's 10,000 thoughts instead of 10,000 questions.
Let's go.
Porque, that means because. When I say a palabra, that means word. What's your first thought? So it's just like, this is what we like to call speed round.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
And if you mess this
I
up...
always stress this out. This stuff stresses me out.
Just so you know, I hate these. So
I hate these. I didn't know you were going to do this. I would have never said yes.
I'm going to become your enemy right now.
I'm leaving.
Okay. All right.
Nice
so
having you.
Once again, 10,000 thoughts.
But how long do I have before I have to say the word? All these rules.
It's called a speed round.
Bam, bam. Okay, go.
I mean, okay.
Ooh, shoot.
Pet peeves. Go.
Body odor. Oh, shoot.
Is it really?
I guess, because that's what came out. I don't know. You didn't even give me a chance to think about it. You can't choose it, really.
Came through.
No, I mean, it's got to be something that like really comes to your mind. Is body odor?
I think so. Apparently, I said it.
Wow.
Yeah. I just,
I feel like
I want to help
your body odor,
like,
or
I
other
take
people's?
it offensively.
Everyone's like checking themselves real quick.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Are we?
Sorry.
No, it's so great. Gosh, I think we're done.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, and go pranks.
Oh, putting saran wrap under a toilet seat.
No.
Has that happened to you?
Oh, no. My daughter and I have prank wars. My 16-year-old daughter and I have prank wars. And so it's been going for like 2 years, and she does it all the time.
I love that.
She does it like after I'm asleep in bed. And then so I'm groggy and not thinking if I have to wake up mid-40s in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
All day.
All over. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that later, by the way. The mid-40s.
Yep.
Okay, favorite movie. Go.
Braveheart.
Ooh,
really?
Wow.
Apparently that's what came out. You asked me. You asked me the favorite movie, and you said fast. It has to be under half a second.
I like it.
Really?
This is the best speed round yet.
It is truly the best. I mean, it's the fastest.
I mean, it's
nobody's
like
taking this serious.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to be serious, guys. You said half a second.
You're winning.
I'm coming in half a second.
You're winning.
Yeah.
Okay, California.
L.A., East L.A., Pico Rivera, La Raza, Mira.
Well, that's a lot of words.
Okay.
That's
where I was born in East L.A.
Yeah. What's up? Good song. Milk. Speed round.
Baby.
And that's the one that got us. But it makes sense, guys. It makes sense.
I had to pause.
There was more time than any other word without. You say baby.
Was the correct one.
Gosh.
Good
Oh,
stuff.
your 20s.
Oh, idiot.
Okay, nickname?
Los. People call me Los.
Tofu.
Yummy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan of tofu?
Oh, if I go and get
But how do you do it? Do you do
pad
it
thai?
fun? Yo, see.
Never had tofu.
Oh,
What?
Oh my gosh.
You gotta go to Bite a Bit, the new
What
place.
is it?
Bite a
Send me a
Bit.
link.
where's that?
It's gonna be
Listen,
great.
Watch your
everybody,
mouth. Watch your mouth.
Cal invite,
It
and
literally
it's just
sounded like
gonna
she
say
said
Bite a
Bite a
Bit. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't slur that when you say that.
Thank you. Way to witness, Carlos.
Yeah, I got you.
Most afraid of what?
Spiders. Easy.
You know, I don't tell people. Well, I shouldn't even say this. I don't tell people that because I know what friends do.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you're afraid of this,"
Yeah,
and
room
so
of
they will.
spiders.
Yeah.
Like on tour buses, that's like the worst to say what you're afraid of.
Under your pillow. Lord have mercy.
Just so you guys know, I'm not afraid of spiders at all.
Yeah,
like
I'm not
that's-
either anymore.
Yeah.
I'm over
talk
them.
about
I've
a
been
friend.
healed.
Yeah. Okay. Cats.
Oh, Henry, my cat. I love it. Yeah. I literally hate every cat. Hated every cat up until my cat.
Yeah.
I love this cat.
What is it about Henry that has changed your view? Like, is Henry become a bridge?
Well,
A bridge, a safe place?
a safe place for other cats. Henry, I think maybe hates me.
Yeah.
Like will swat me.
Your enemy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then the reason why I love so much is like after like 9 attempts to injure me, I'll be sitting down. He just comes and just hops in my lap, and I'm like,
You might have battered wife syndrome.
yeah. I'm like, oh my god, like he loves me. So like, there's this traumatic relationship that's happened.
Yeah,
So.
Wow.
codependency.
Okay. Boast. Best parenting advice.
Don't let your kids grow up seeing the back of an iPhone instead of your own eyes.
So good. 5 things or people that shaped you into what you are today.
5 things or people.
Yep.
My dad, Fermin Agustin Whittaker. My dad would be one. John Eldridge's teachings. More so his teachings on prayer have really shaped me. I would say my wife, and she is grace with skin on. I would say...
Yeah, this is a speed round. I don't want to say that again.
Yeah, I know. No, you said 5 things,
Sure.
though. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Rick Warren. He's just been a kind of sidekick mentor of mine that will text me all the time and give me great advice. And then I would say this last year, all of you, like everyone listening to me, that gives me the time of day to help educate them. They've changed me. Like they've given me hope. So yeah, those 5 things. There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. There you go,
Carlos,
buddy.
thank you so much.
Thank you guys
for being with us.
Carlos,
You're welcome.
So good.
But
Yeah.
your podcast, give us just a little bit
Yeah.
of where people can be finding you.
It's called Human Hope. It's in the Society and Culture section on all of the podcast platforms. And then Loswhit on Instagram, LOSWHIT, is, again, talk about hard things, but I talk about fluffy
So
things,
good. So good.
those things too. And then also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, though, that's like the alternate ego of me where I'm a little bit more angry and upset over there. So if you want to see that, you can head over to Twitter.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah. No, definitely there's an Instagram Los and a Twitter
Yeah.
All right.
Los. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, dude.
love you guys.
Good. Dude.
Yay, thanks, Carlos. So good.
Okay. All right. Now we're going to talk about the next experiment, and I'm excited about this one. And not like I haven't been excited about the other ones.
It's good to hear. I was worried.
Yeah.
So glad you're in this. Your
Yeah.
heart's still in it.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
noticed that we talk eye to eye, and I think that I have an issue with cats.
Do you?
Well, I really have a prejudice, maybe?
Maybe so. Maybe you need to
Okay,
build a
towards
bridge.
Cats or towards people who like cats?
Oh, it could
No.
get serious.
Yeah,
I'm like
it-
that with people who like Kansas City barbecue. We can't like them.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
one goes first.
But that's it. That's my whole story.
Okay. Well, I was going to try to tie this into expectations, but I can't. So we're going to do a little series on expectations, and expectations are huge with me.
Oh, wow.
It's a huge deal with me. So they are dangerous for me,
Are
to
they
be
ever
honest.
realistic?
Yeah, Hillary, my wife, would say, "Oh no, she can have realistic expectations, and they don't bring her down like they do me."
But do you have realistic expectations is what I'm asking.
Probably not realistic. I know that this thing can happen. It can look like this, and it can
Yeah.
work like this. It just rarely does.
It's like the lottery. Can happen.
Yes, exactly.
Probably won't.
Exactly. So, okay, so question is, what are expectations, and what do we expect from God? So we're going to go through our expectations of God,
Okay.
then of ourselves, and then of others. So there's going to be kind of 3 weeks in a row of practicing expectations and what that looks like. So, okay, go. What are expectations?
I know for me, expectations or expecting something from someone is saying this is who they are. That's something that doesn't change. So when I expect something from someone, it's something that I don't have to hope for. It is what it is. I should be able to lean on you to do this.
Right.
So simple things. I should expect my phone to turn on because I've charged it.
Okay.
Kind of deal.
So that's a valid expectation.
Yes, but with people, it's not easy to just expect because expectation is all about me receiving something without needing to check in on it in a sense.
Yeah.
But you can't control that with people or
Yeah.
yourselves. And I have a problem with self expectations. Like I have really intense expectations on myself all day. Oh, this is going to be hard. I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, I'm on two sides of it too.
Yeah.
And I think it's tied with grace. I know we'll have to touch on that, but expectations on myself, really hard. Expectations on others, even God, I don't even try.
Really?
Sometimes I'm like, why bother? I don't want to be upset
Or disappointed.
Or even hope, honestly. So that's why they're all on me.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's all hitting me now, guys.
Oh,
What's our
man.
practice? I need an anchor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my experience with expectations.
Okay. If I'm honest,
No, please don't be.
I'll try not to be I try to not be on this podcast as much as possible, but if I'm going to start now, I probably expect way too much out of people, and it's gotten me in trouble. I mean, from my wife to my kids to like all kinds of things, there can be really silly things that, like, if I come home from tour, I expect the house not to be a mess. I should expect for it to be.
Yeah, 3 little children.
Like all of my kids just have torn my house up.
Yeah.
I should expect that it's going to be. But like I've disappointed myself in my head when I walk in, and it just is what it is. To the point of like even people like I've hired before that work for me, even if they say they're going to do something and I always expect them to do that, it's almost unreasonable for me to expect them to always be able to like fulfill commitment. And so I've gotten myself in trouble there. It's like, well, you said you'd do this.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Yeah.
You know, this is going to mess me up.
I'm telling you, I'm not ready.
So the idea of expectation that somebody said a while back to me that was really profound. They're saying that when you expect something from somebody and they come through and do it, then it's like, oh, well, you met my expectation. There's not a celebration of that or a thankfulness of it. It's just, you met it. And if they don't, then you're pissed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It that's where it becomes dangerous for me.
Yep. That's
Do you
right.
think it's like a because you owe me kind of deal? Do you think you could go down that path? Sometimes we expect things from people because we're owed that for something.
Maybe. I think to me it just seems like it's the right thing. It's like, no, this is just what is. This is what should be. If we're all, what's the all cylinders phrase?
Firing on all cylinders.
Thank you. Look at you.
You got it, baby. I got it right.
If we're all firing on all cylinders, this should totally work. Like,
Yeah.
I just expect this
But we're
because,
never, like, we've all got a
Totally.
cylinder out every once in a while.
Chris, I don't
Okay.
appreciate that. So this week, the practice is actually expect God.
Okay.
Period. I mean, that's expecting God in our conversations, in our tensions, in our chaos and anxiety, in misunderstandings, in beauty. We're just going to practice expecting God. But what's the difference between expectancy and expectations, or how God should show up? Because, I have an expectation of God. Actually, I'm kind of with you, Moy, that I've stopped a lot of my expectations of God because it's a thing that he has not done or hasn't done or probably won't do, so I just won't expect it from him anymore.
Yes.
So I kind of pull back altogether.
Well, I know we're going to dive into this later, but I think when my brother died, that was the first where I was like, okay, you didn't come through like I thought you would.
Yeah.
You're a God who revives. You're a God who,
Right.
So I'm not even going to touch that with you anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not even going to expect you to bring like more life when life now is already like wounded,
Yeah.
So I get that kind of almost numb part of me when it comes to expectations. It's like a box that I've checked like with an X, like he doesn't do this. So I'm no longer with wonder, which I think is expectancy. Like I'm no longer like looking to see and be in awe. I'm just here with a checklist ready to check off the things I'm waiting to be done, And so I'm like, I'm gonna put the clipboard down. I just don't even care.
Yeah.
So
'Cause
that's-
if you were to expect him, but expect him to do these things instead of just to be present in, those are two very different things.
Yeah, it's not like, okay, he did the 3 things I was looking for today. It was, I looked for him everywhere and I saw new ways of seeing God or, things I didn't expect.
Expecting God, there's a posture of wonder.
I'm sure with like your cancer stuff, this has happened to me because of I'm deaf in my left ear and had tumors and stuff and surgeries and all that kind of stuff. I get Christians who want to pray for me for healing all the time, to the point where it makes me feel bad when God doesn't heal me.
Yeah.
And so I've had a really difficult time in the middle of that. These people are so expectant. They believe
Yep, they're in. Yeah.
God is going to heal me.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, you're the 12th person, this tour that's prayed for my healing.
Yeah.
And then I feel bad because I feel that way. And so I wonder what that says. I'm processing this out loud, but what that says about my expectation of God.
Yeah. Well, it literally has shaped all of us and everybody listening. It is these things that we have expected and hoped from God, things that did not come through, that shapes my view of God.
Yeah.
And I think part of what we're doing here is trying to say, okay, we all have a skewed view of who God is, just a limited view because of our experience. When my daughter prays for her dreams to go away, like she's having bad dreams, and we pray every night, and she's like, FYI, your prayer crap doesn't work because I keep having bad dreams.
Yeah.
That shapes her as she walks forward. But we all go, well, here's what the Bible says, and here's what you need to do. But she's like, yeah, I'll believe all that stuff, in my mind, but I can't really live that because I don't believe God will come through. So this practice is ultimately inviting us into just walking in this week with wonder and an expectancy that God is present. Like, what if it's actually true? Some of us might go, I don't know if it is. That's totally fine. But what if it is true that this week we would just expect that he is at work in all these things?
Right.
Maybe not doing what we're wanting him to do.
But he's still with us.
And even the idea of him showing up, we say that all the time, like God really showed up.
Right.
And I go, I don't know what that means because
Right.
is he not always here? Isn't that the actual gospel? The actual good news is that we are part of the kingdom all the time.
Yeah.
So anyways, that is the practice. Do you guys have any other thoughts for that?
No, I'm terrified.
I guess my last thought is I also know I expect negative things. And that's like a whole different part.
A whole different
Like I also just expect the worst all the time because what the best that I expected didn't come through. So anything good or whatever, I'm like, the other shoe's about to drop.
What is that old saying? Like, the best way to never be disappointed is to lower your expectations.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you keep your expectations at the bottom, then anything is good news.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know that that's where God's design was supposed to take us.
So, people, that's this week. That is the invitation for us this week. That's the experiment for this week. That we don't know everything. I'm sure everybody who's listening is like, you guys are missing this and this and this and this. That's totally great. But this isn't necessarily about us. This is about you being curious and us being curious this week of what's it look like and what would it look like just for us to walk with expectation. Literally, the practice is expect God in our conversations, intentions, in chaos and anxiety and misunderstandings, in beauty, in our walks. Expect God. So that is the practice and the experiment for this week. So let us know how that's going, people. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Moy. See you next week.
Love it.
Thanks you guys so much for listening and being a part of this. It is so fun to hear your comments and hear how this has been encouraging to you. Would you please rate this? Just go and rate it somewhere. Just say, this is awesome. Or put comments in there. That would be super helpful for us. And if you want to go to 10,000minutes.com, go check it out. All right, guys. See you next week.